The idea of crystals is coming to the fore now. The idea of crystals is coming to the fore now. The idea of crystals is coming to the fore now. The idea of crystals is coming to the fore now.
Welcome to another episode of Angels, Positivity, and Love. Absolutely fantabulous experts the world over, incredible backgrounds. We've had a White House physician, professors, healers, New York Times bestsellers, Watkins 100 list experts, and so on. I'm not kidding. The diversity is incredible. A Miss USA, a Delta Force operator, naturopaths, doctors, psychotherapists, you name it. Today is no exception. I am so excited to have her on. I've already invited her back on, and she's got a secret opportunity that I haven't even told her yet till after the show. But we've got Elaine with us. I'm going to tell you her background in just a second. But the most important thing you need to know is she's all in. She's actually following her authentic, unique life path. She's helping others. She's open in her heart. She's such a thrill to meet. Let me do a formal intro for her first. It's Elaine Yoshikawa, coming to us from Arizona State University, where she teaches. She's got a master's, multiple doctoral degrees, and she covers a bunch of different areas. And it's kind of interesting because she teaches the philosophy of happiness. She also teaches about virtue ethics, moral psychology. She has taught, I believe, at the California Institute of Integral Studies as well. But on the religious studies front, it's Christian and Buddhist ethics, also music, piano, and also authenticity, spirituality, and self-transformation. Whoa. Elaine, thank you very much for being on the show. Great to see you again. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to see you again.
Well, I am hoping by the end of the show, people come to the realization of how wildly open you are, how trusting you are of the universe. And I can't wait to get you started here. So with that, where do we start? Where do you want to take us?
Well, I guess a little bit about my life journey. I think that has a lot to do with the lessons that I can help people with. Um, so overall, I think looking back at my life, it's been about balance. And I started off in music. I was a piano performance major, classical music. And in that arena, it was basically about the emotions, expressing your emotions, expressing kind of a different, it wasn't intellectual, it was more the heart, right? And so music was all I knew for many years. But eventually I burnt out and I felt like I was missing something on my intellectual side that wasn't being fed. So from there, I went to philosophy. Um, I thought I was going into something like existential philosophy, the meaning of life philosophy, but I found out when I got to Berkeley that there are traditional Western analytic uh, philosophy that they taught, and so I I found it really constrictive, restrictive. But I did it. I went through and finished it. Um, and so I ended up with a degree. I didn't know really what I wanted to do with it. But at that time, it was the computer revolution. And so I became a computer programmer. I did that. And that was very much like philosophy because coding, uh, coding or programming is much like doing logic or logical proofs. So it was kind of fun for me. But then what happened was I kind of felt like I needed to do more. And that's when I eventually left computer programming and went back into philosophy, but only because I met a professor who he really delved into the depths of philosophy. And this was an area that I had no idea existed. This was moral psychology. And so that just opened the door to philosophy for me again, because now you could get into the depth, into heart, into virtues, all of that. Um, and what happened was I had no intention of becoming an academic. I was just taking these graduate courses for personal enrichment, but it was just my path. That things just kind of happened, and I was given all these opportunities to teach, and then eventually to create my own courses, my own course in philosophy of happiness, which I probably wanted to do since high school. So that was amazing. It sort of um, showed me a different view of academics because it can be transformative, and that's what I'm kind of working on right now. Um, but then before, sort of in the middle of that, I also had a calling, and this was a very strange call for me. It just came out of nowhere. So I heard join my church, and that was I didn't understand it because I was not a churchgoer. I wasn't interested in traditional doctrinal Christianity or any of that, but I felt like, oh, that was a call from Jesus.
Hmm.
And so the voice wouldn't get out of my head until I actually started looking at churches, right? And so I finally found this wonderful, more progressive Catholic church, and I I was converted to Roman Catholicism, which was like way beyond anything I would have imagined for myself. But the thing was, when I sat down at that church, I felt like I was home.
Hmm.
I felt healed. I felt whole. And a lot of that I later learned was I had a lot of past lives as a religious in the Catholic tradition. And so that was my home. Uh, and so now I had the balance between my philosophy analytic side and the more mystical spiritual side. And so it's sort of been like that my whole life. So as soon as I get too much of one thing, I go to another thing that tries to balance it. So that's kind of an introduction to my life.
Absolutely. Can you talk to us though about intuition, the ability to just listen to the universe, whether it's religious, non-religious figures? Let's back up. How big is the universe, and is love the fabric of the universe?
Those are huge questions, Michael.
Eternal. What are you going to do? Mankind always asks these eternal questions. What are you going to do with it? But you do get put on the spot quite a bit. You have to answer this for a student. You got a big audience here one day, could be the millions, 2030. By the way, subscribe, like, share, comment as we go along, especially to what resonates for you from Elaine. Elaine, how do you handle it? How big is the universe? Is love the fabric of the universe?
Um, it's huge. And yes, love is the fabric. Let me talk about that. So I guess when we're talking huge, the mind can't comprehend that kind of space because the human mind is limited. However, and so I'm going to sort of uh, bring this into two realms, right? So the material world, where we're human beings, things are limited. We count things, we measure things. Science has to measure things. If it can't measure something, it's not looked upon as science, it's pseudoscience, right? Okay, so that's the material world. And I'm going to use Plato's model of reality and call that the realm of becoming, because everything's changing. Now, there's also another realm, the realm of being. And okay, so I'm going to bring in like Christian doctrine and other things as well that's not particularly Plato. I'm just using his structure to help me explain. So there's this realm of being, and in that realm, we're talking about eternal now moments. Eternal. Time can't be measured. It doesn't make sense to measure. Space is infinite. We have the infinite here. There is, again, no measurement. And physics is starting to bear some resemblance to these kinds of mystical revelations that religious people and even unreligious people have discerned. So when you talk about the hugeness of the universe, I'm also thinking about the hugeness of God, right? And so it's interesting. I think of it as infinity times infinity times infinity, so on. And just the concept of infinity itself is just mind-boggling. But if we're working within God's heart, it's infinity times infinity times infinity. That's how many ways you can know God. Mm. That's how many connections there are within God's heart. That's how many multidimensional areas there are that we can explore. It never ends. So, and I love talking about this because you can also bring math into it. So Georg Cantor, I believe a Russian mathematician, what he did was he categorized infinities. So help us to think about it a little bit better. So there were countable infinities and non-countable infinities. And so what he did, he used the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet, Aleph, to label these. So we have Aleph null or Aleph zero, and that's a countable infinity. Go to another kind of infinity, and those are the non-countables, Aleph one, Aleph two, and so on. So it's interesting because you can always bring math and music into this as well, because there's just, I don't know, all I can say is there's no ending. Infinity times infinity means that in the realm of being is how things actually are. So for Plato, he said the realm of becoming is real because we experience it, but it's not as real as the realm of being. That's where he says, that's where everything is permanent, it's eternal, it's perfect, and the idea of perfection, that's where he says real eternal beauty is. So he brings the aesthetics into it as well.
Beautiful.
Did that answer part of your question?
Yes. Okay. Share with us a little bit about when did you know, at what age were you intuitive, you were connecting, you were having experiences of the universe? When could you actually share that either with colleagues, friends, family, or was it something you kind of kept to yourself for a long time?
My most significant mystical experience was when I was 11. That was, do you want me to describe what happened?
Sure, sure. If you don't mind, yes.
Oh, so I was walking home from school, and I decided to take a shortcut between two major streets. And in that shortcut, there was sort of like a ditch and a sandy path, and there were lots of trees. And so it was mostly, it was green and then a lot of sandy colored vegetation, things had dried up and stuff. And I was just walking, and then suddenly the scene started to change in front of me, and I was seeing gold. Everything was gold. The trees were gold. The ditch had turned to gold. All the plants, everything. And I was just sort of walking in a daze as I kept walking. It stayed with me. And then when I neared the end of the shortcut, I looked up into the sky, and it just seemed so beautiful that I just merged with it and I disappeared. I haven't related that very often, but what it told me back then was that there was a whole nother reality that existed. And that I thought everybody else knew about it or had experiences about it, right? But without really talking about that experience to anybody, I kind of figured out that it wasn't that normal. And so I never spoke about it until recently. But that was the experience that told me, oh, there's so much deeper. There are deeper things going on that we don't know about. There's an invisible world that is so filled with love and joy and this gold. And now I call it Christ consciousness, the experience of pure light.
Wonderful. Can you keep going with that a little bit, like other formative experiences along your path?
Other formative experiences. There's been lots. uh, so I guess, well, in each area, in each discipline that I focused on, I learned a lot. And so I'm so glad my path was from music to philosophy to computer programming to spirituality. For example, in music, I had lots of mystical experiences just because that domain brings you into the realm of being. And it's so easy. All you have to do is listen to it, you know. So I've had an experience, like these are peak experiences. There are times when you don't play very well in concert. I mean, you know, but there are also times when you're really prepared. And so when you're on stage in front of people and you really know the music so well, you can play it backwards, that kind of thing. And you let go and you allow the music to play you. That's part of a peak experience where you're doing things that it never even occurred to you that you could do. And you're being creative in ways that you would have never thought, right? And so there's that aspect of it. But there was also another aspect, the communication with the audience, which is so striking because it feels like everyone in the audience was with me, breathing the music with me. And so, yeah, that takes you to another level of experience. What you can do in a community and how integrated you can feel with each other. It's like you're one entity breathing together with the rhythms of the music.
Okay, when did you start hearing as an individual? Was it, again, childhood, teens, college? When did you know you were actually capable of hearing like the universe, or just call it your intuition, call it your higher self, call it the universe? What do you call it? And again, a lot of people on this show, pretty much everybody has been doing this. So it's nothing new. I think it's been around forever, but it's sharing whatever aspect of it, though, that you're comfortable sharing.
So I was never, I mean, when I was never raised as a religious person. So my mother was like a non-practicing Buddhist, and my father was like a non-practicing Christian. Um, so I do know that whenever I watched the television shows, like I'm sorry, those epic movies about Jesus or Moses or whatever, um, it always took me to a different place. So that started when I was very young. As soon as I watched one of those movies, I was so taken with the story. I know it moved me in a really different way, so that it felt like I should be in that life. So that was part of the story. So I felt those kinds of intuitions very early on. I knew angels existed. I didn't have to ask. Um, and I always knew God existed because he was always in my heart. So yeah, it was never about faith or believing something that I didn't experience. The only thing I can believe is what I experience.
Would it be like the greatest story ever told in movies
I
like that?
love that. I love that. Yes,
Uh, can you
that genre.
Can you, and I'm looking for a photo from the movie where, and I know I have it, I might be looking down for a little bit. I took a photo of that movie. I think there's a very dark room with a lot of wise, older people, maybe not that wise, actually, older, wearing like togas, and they're all sitting in what would have been an English pub, but there's no way it could be that. So it's a very dark setting, and I think I have the right movie. But I took a photo, and then this second time I took a photo right after that, archangels showed up in it because I take photographs of angels. And so if I can find it, I'll put it up. Meanwhile, how did you know angels exist? You just trusted it was part of your knowing. And if you don't mind finding a way to carve out an explanation so that the audience can relate, that'd be super helpful.
But it's just something like I knew I had parents, right? So that's the way I knew God existed. That's the way I knew angels existed. Um, but I was always puzzled by why I couldn't see them.
And this isn't going to come out, but that's the original. And
Uh-huh.
then there's more balls of light, right? There's 5 balls of light right in here. And so
Uh-huh.
I'll go back to the original. I
Uh-huh.
actually found it. Hold on. So you'll see up and down straight arrows, sort of what was
Right.
in the picture,
Uh-huh.
and then extra balls of light.
Huh. Wow.
And I was told archangels, and I have just to not to take us off the topic, but I want to show one photo of archangels that's a clean photo, so the audience can know it's possible. You just listen. They told me to step out of the house and take a shot over the house, but there's all the archangels over the house.
Nice. Oh
Okay,
my.
back to angels, and you just knew. Keep going.
Um, yeah, so I've always felt protected. I could feel the presence of like the huge angels during my sister's wedding.
Mm.
Oh my gosh, like 30 feet tall energies on both sides of the church. It was amazing. Um, oh, there was a time where angels helped me. Do you want to hear about that? Again, this has to do with my sister. She had two dogs, and they went away and they had friends taking care of the dogs. And then that night, like around 10 o'clock at night, they called me and they said, the dogs are gone. And then I immediately, oh, it was horrifying. So I just told them to go home. I would go to the house and I'll try to find them. So that night I just drove around until midnight. Couldn't see a thing. It was plus it was too dark. I wasn't really seeing very much anyway. And so um before I went, well, I was just staring out the window thinking they might just uh walk by or something. And then I just asked, please bring my sister's dogs home. So their names are Glacier and Tundra. So please bring them home. And then what do I do? And then I heard a voice. And this I was sure is like the angels who take care of dogs. I heard a voice and it said, go to sleep. We'll bring them to you in the morning. And I said, what? Basically. And then I said, well, okay, but how will I know when to get up? And they said, we'll wake you. And then so I did. I went to sleep, and then I just woke up around 7 o'clock in the morning, or thereabouts. And I went out to the driveway and I said, which way? I so I just turned left. I don't know why. And then as I was walking down the street, I was just about to hit a curb that was going to the left. And down the other side was a woman walking towards me. And then that woman had two dogs behind her, following her. And I couldn't believe my eyes. I thought, well, are these the dogs? They look kind of white. Yeah, I ran up to them. And by that time she had turned a corner. So I was running, following her, and it was them. I was just like hugging the dogs, and um, she was explaining to me that, so what, see, I was picturing them dead, hit by a car and all that, right? And what she told me was, well, this woman, she was visiting a friend, and the friend found the two dogs, and they were so nice. They fed the dogs like steak or something, and allowed them to stay the night. And then when that woman came to visit in the morning, and she left, the dogs followed her. So that's how I came to get my sister's dogs back.
Wild. Tundra and glacier, right?
Tundra and glacier.
Hmm.
Yeah.
We had a guest. If there's been 55 shows and 52 shows or something in 2023, 112 in 2024 were booked into March of 2025. I think it was guest number 4, Mark Lanehart out of Seattle, who has a radio show. He's pretty well known. He was 2020 Psychic of the Year in the US. But he mentioned the first time he saw an angel on a hike in Oregon or Seattle, in Washington State, in a waterfall that was like, I don't know, like 3 stories tall, 30 feet. And that was exactly how he described it. And that's the way a lot of people will see as a classic brimstone and smoke sometimes, or
Yeah.
just big and not intruding, imposing.
Yes.
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 I like doing it in a way that's friendly. Like when you walk into a barbecue or a party or a picnic, and there's those cool, fun folks that you gravitate to. That's how I like to do it for folks, to get a direct encounter, and you're not running for the hills or worried about what you're going to say. You just get to be you and have lots of love. So to that end, can you tell us a little bit more as you got older? Were there some other experiences, or did you get more comfortable with everything? I mean, you were certainly exploring intellectually, but the heart as well. Talk to us more about that balance. Talk to us more about angels, but in any form or fashion you want.
Hmm. Well, I did get a call. Okay, so besides getting a call into the church, I also got a call to visit Sedona, a sacred spot, right? And that's all that was in my head: Sedona, Sedona, Sedona. So eventually, I just sort of happened upon this writing retreat in Sedona. So I said, okay, that's for me. And so this person was, this writing coach was just helping us, all these would-be authors write their books. And it was such an interesting way of accessing information, something that I'd never done. I'd probably done it, in a subconscious way, not consciously. And so he had us meditate, get to this realm, in which I would say that was a realm of being kind of domain. And we downloaded the book from there. So I think it's really interesting to be able to access through art. So the book that I wrote, I was accessing the realm of being, but it can also lead you to help you experience God. So I was, during the time that I was exploring Catholicism, I went to a Catholic bookstore and just roaming through the books, browsing. And I just came upon one and I opened it. As soon as I opened it, I saw flames. It was shooting out of the book. And I'm okay, so I immediately closed the book, looked around, anybody else see that?
There's no cameras going on. It's not candid camera.
Yeah. And so, okay, that was strange. Never happened to me before. So I opened the book, and again, flames. And it was burning my hands. I mean, the flames were around my hands, but I didn't feel any pain.
Yeah.
Right. And I said, okay, this is probably a sign. I went home and bought the book.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it could have been the opposite, but it wasn't. It was a good thing.
It was a good thing. And what it was later, after I had read the book, I figured out what happened was, so it was called Living Prayer, I believe, by Metropolitan Anthony. And when he wrote the book, he, as his source, wrote from God. And for him, God was flames. It was fire. And so that's what I was sort of tapping into, was that's where he was getting his information. This is the heart of God. Hmm. So it's an amazing book, by the
way. Okay, you've done a lot. You've seen a lot. You had a lot of career paths. Can you see maybe hanging a shingle out in a whole new direction in addition to what you're doing now, helping others in some sort of a unique, novel way, or repackaging a combination of things you've done in the past to still offer something fresh and fun for young and old? Could you see that happening in the future? Something extra?
It already happened.
Yes. Now, what are you going to tell us about?
So I was called. I have a group of friends in Sedona, and I went to this one particular center. And as soon as I went into the meeting room, I felt the call. Okay, I'm going to teach here. I'm going to talk about God. So all of that happened at once. I immediately booked 3 sessions. They just told me 3. Mm-hmm. And what I did was I've done all 3 sessions now. I just finished. And so for once a month, I talked about things that I learned from the book that I downloaded, Awakening in God's Heart. So I talked about, so the series is 3 parts of Awakening in God's Heart. And the first part was about time, the experience of time, and the illusion of time. And so I look at it from a philosopher's perspective, a physics perspective, and a mystical perspective. And then the second thing, I did basically the same thing with space. Okay, so we're talking about the nature of space, the illusion of space, and how to think of it in terms of God. And then the third part was transcending space and time and how to live in God's heart.
Brilliant. Okay, we've talked obviously before. Is this all since we've talked, or is this something that's
it is. It all happened.
Whoa, Nelly. So when I asked that question, I didn't know. And before the show, we had taken some steps. And that's what I was getting was that, yeah, it could be your teachings will keep going. We'll leave it at that. How about I do this? I'll blow some sage. We'll put some angel photos up. You'll get some new topics that are not new. They're going to be part of your existing repertoire. You'll get it's like being on stage, but you got a producer behind the curtain yelling, sing this song. And you're like, oh yeah, I'll talk about this. So I'll blow some sage. People who know the show, I've only had maybe 2 or 3 or 4 guests max out of what I will say is about to be 200 that so far have not done a thing, and they don't know any better, and that's okay because we want the contrast. We want people just to have fun, come on the show and be themselves. But if you didn't know, I can light the sage. You can smell it if you're in New Zealand, Germany. It's 2030. It's what Elaine was just talking about, time and space. Let me do it this way: timelessness, limitless, no space. What we were saying yesterday on a tape show, no body, you're not in your body, to body like Bodhi, like Buddhism. So it's like no drama, just Rama. And I need something that rhymes with fun, like instead of being too serious, just have fun, let go. You already know what to do. But give yourself permission to let go. Ask angels if you don't mind, the universe, loving figures, your ancestors, whoever. Ask them to get you out of your head into your heart. Catch some sage. But why settle for just boring ho-hum cupcake when you can have a triple tier layered cake, no calories? Ask for sage, ask for flowers, ask for an ocean smell, even hear the ocean. If you're totally cray cray or crazy, close your eyes and even see a beautiful ocean vista somewhere. Meanwhile, Elaine in Arizona from Texas, you're getting some sage right now, yes?
Yes.
Are you getting anything else like hibiscus,
Roses.
wildflowers?
Roses.
Yeah. And now, if you could ask, if you want to close your eyes one more time, I'll tell a dad joke to just help clean the slate. Ask for the best ocean smell. Bora Bora, not boring, Tahiti, Hawaii, Costa Rica. And here's the dad joke. What's the only flower found on the human face? Tulips. If you ain't laughing, you ain't doing it right in life. And remember, your laugh is hope and healing to others. So laugh more, love more, breathe more, smile more, a little less thinking. Elaine, what do you get? Anything else on top of the flowers and sage?
Oh, definitely the ocean. I was
Oh,
hearing the ocean waves.
okay, folks. Well, keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt. Sorry about that.
Oh, no, that's okay. Go ahead.
What ocean did you get?
Oh, it would be the Pacific.
And this is why you've already been invited back on the show. You're going to get invited to something else as soon as we get off. If I remember to remember, when I remember. Elaine, there's something you're doing. What do you call it as your skill set? Is it pure trust, faith, hope? And by the way, faith can be religious, non-religious. I call it letting go to get to here. It seems like you have a pretty deep inner ability to just be and not take yourself too seriously, but you're a good performer if we're talking piano and everything else. And if anyone sees smoke drifting by, I got a little smoke coming from the sage this way. It's not, don't do your eyes. But you can ask for a ball of light. It'll be an angel if you're really gutsy right now. Okay, Elaine, how do you describe, this is going to be a self-compliment here. It's public. How do you describe what you do?
How do I describe?
Yeah, if you're a superhero, you know, Superman flies, he's got the X-ray vision and a lot of other stuff. What's Elaine Yoshikawa got that
I
is some of your strengths here?
I teach. That's that's all I've ever done is teach.
Hmm.
Um, and I like to gather information. I love that. But I like to gather information that's going to benefit other people.
If you're doing retreats 5 years from now, globally, the world has calmed down, there's no more health crises and all the other conundrums going on. What are 3 or 4 locations that would be just absolutely fantabulous? Pretend a company came in and sponsored you. You got no holds barred, no limits here. Where are we doing this? Is it Greece? Is it Italy? Is it Cape Town? Where are you taking folks one day for
First,
retreats?
first would be Sedona. Absolutely. That's where all the crystals are and the vortexes. Um, I see Paris.
Hmm.
I see Greece. Absolutely. Yeah. Delphi, um, Egypt, and Turkey.
I love it. We're going to get back to crystals and vortexes. Unfortunately, you fell for it. You stepped right into the hole. You made the host's job a lot easier. Talk to us about crystals and vortexes. What do we need to know?
What do we need to know?
Yeah.
Um, I think the idea of crystals is coming to the fore now. The idea of crystals is coming to the fore now. The idea of crystals is coming to the fore now. The idea of crystals is coming to the fore now. I did, okay, so this is way out there because it's something I'm just learning about. But back in 2016,
And I've got to interrupt you. So hold the
yeah,
thought. We just had an angel that went straight up. I have smoke blowing this way, and it was a bright ball of light, and I've marked it. I will pull it, and we will put this at the front of the video. You're my third guest. 2 South Africans, one lives in Germany, one lives in France. The one in Germany had a ball of light come up like this. The one in France had, I think it was Heather that came across the top this way. It was like a Roman candle straight up and you were looking down, but you're going to get right back to what you were talking about. I had to say it, so I'm marking the spot and I'm marking it now so I can find it quickly. Okay, back to what you were saying. You locked it in. Crystals, vortexes, keep going.
Okay, so in terms of crystals, I just noticed, like, in on YouTube, things will just come up and they look random, but it's actually really important for you to know. Um, and I, I'm going to be neutral about this. I'm not going to say this is what's happening, but I find it curious. I find it curious. So humanity is changing from a carbon-based being to a crystalline-based being, right? And this is something that I had wondered about. Back in 2016, I had a healing massage with a psychic in Santa Fe.
Mm.
And then as she was doing the massage, I was looking in and scanning my body, and it was all crystals. So I was seeing these are rainbow crystals, and they were being aligned. So I just feel like a lot of people are going to be drawn to crystals now because, first of all, that's sort of the transformational aspect of awakening at this point. And that's going to help us receive more light and transmit more light.
I'll hold up a couple photos of angels, but I have crystals next. I actually have 4 sitting in front of me by pure chance. I cannot pronounce anything appropriately, but Tibetan quartz crystal, I successfully did. I have 2 of those. I have a citrine piece and I have a apophyllite, if I said it right. It's my favorite. It's the shiniest of them all. Okay. I'm going to put up an angel named Joy. She's Joy, the emotion joy, kind of cosmic. And it's what Big Mary said about love. Love is everywhere. Open your eyes to see love. That would be Joy too. You don't have to go to a concert to connect with her. You just have to let go of a little bit of thinking. Any discomfort in life is usually ego. And anytime you just want to let go and have a little more love come in, get out of your own way. Here's Joy. If you don't mind saying a quick hello, you can put your hand out and feel what you want to feel. You can get a hug down your back. You can catch a new flower smell, wisteria, lavender, something you haven't caught in a while that's a little lighter, honeysuckle. What are you getting for flowers?
I think it's a honeysuckle.
I didn't do it. But with that, here's something from Joy to us all as a reminder, but then have her also remind you of another talking point that you're really good at talking about.
It's telling me doorway.
Ooh, is that like vortexes? The gateless gate in the heart, the doorless door, or a vortex?
Yeah, so for me, what I do is I translate into Christ consciousness. So it might just be a gateway or a doorway into God's heart. Um, I'm I'm kind of obsessed with that. So
That's okay.
I hear
Opening
that's where I
openness.
go.
Yeah, and the way I describe like the Hindu chakras or whatever we call those things, the light, it's all the colors, and then you get to white. But then there's something like I call it Christ consciousness above the white, and then rainbow light, or was it rainbow light, then Christ consciousness? I get everything mixed up all the time. But with that, I'll show light, and maybe that'll generate something. If you don't mind asking Joy to do something off of what I'm about to do, I'll show my energy on the screen, and then hopefully there's going to be something you extrapolate from to remind us all. This is out of the movie Celestine Prophecy, but as a guest who has just on lately reminded us they were doing this in the 70s before the movie was made. And in India, they do it this way. So ditch everything I'm saying. You can see my light between my fingers. Give yourself permission to let go and breathe and just see a little filament of light. What color do you see, Elaine?
It's purple.
Ooh, nice. Anybody at home needing help? I'm going to tell one dad joke. Santa's reindeer, Blitzen Dancer, just those 2. You don't have to remember who they are. Why do Blitzen and Dancer drink so much coffee? Because they're Santa's Starbucks. Rub your hands, do a chubby checker. Elvis, let go. One more time. See what you can see. Don't judge. Feel what you can feel. It's doing the Zen thing, seeing without seeing. And is it still purple? Is it purple, white, and gold? What are you seeing now?
Goldish.
Yay, I didn't do it. It's just, let's blame angels. I mean, that's what we need is blame angels on the t-shirt. Don't blame Canada. Okay, Elaine, what's it all mean? What are we supposed to do with all this light, love, energy? Really? How is this possible? What thinking says otherwise. Logos says otherwise. Rationale, reason. I got 44 millions and angels ain't one for the whole how it can't be so. Why is love and why is the universe this big? And what are we talking about here?
Again, huge questions.
Yeah, there's no spotlight. It's not a 1930s black and white detective movie where they've got the lamps on you, heating you up here and pressing you with the same question 40 times in a row. But what's it all about, Alfie? What are we supposed to do with this? Elaine, you're like Hank Aaron. You're going to knock this ball out of the park. What are you supposed to? Here, I'm going to get you two more angels, Archangel Michael and a Charlotte. They're going to kind of give you this launch pad to get going because they already know you know the answer, but just have them give you a reminder. Breathe, relax, no triota, and you got it. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So this is about awareness, awakening, and ascension. We're all in this together, right? And so how we get there is by helping each other. It's about unity and finding unity within God's heart.
Hmm.
And why we need God's heart is because only one aspect, there's like a million, but one aspect is within God's heart are all the virtues.
Hmm.
And so those attributes are something that we need to develop, especially now in these times. It's very hard to get past the divisions that are going on now. And we really, I mean, I find that there's a purpose to these divisions because now we can see what's really out there, right? What was hidden, it's clear now. And that's where we need to love the most. That's what needs to be healed the most. I mean, there are a lot of wounded people, and it's coming out in hate and anger and despair and loneliness. So it's a matter of being gentle, non-judgmental, kind, and giving, and just unconditional love and limitless forgiveness.
I'm going to read a couple quotes to you and then your reaction. The first is from angels. You can be happy now in this very moment for no reason whatsoever. There's the rub, by the way. There's a but coming in there. Anyone I know, including me, is like, but hey, wait, have you seen my bank account or my cousin or my illness or this? My situation is, my problem is, you don't understand. I got 19 dogs and I don't have a cat. And it's a total catastrophe. But here's one more passage. So you can be happy now in this very moment for no reason whatsoever. And then this is a quick passage. I hope I don't take more than 50 seconds. Written by angels. Blame me if you think I wrote it. Thank you. It's from the appendix of the Listening to Angels book. What's up with mankind? Why angels now? Why are they more accessible? Go ahead and ask angels to show up in your path in the next week as you run to the coffee shop or post office or errands. Sparkly-eyed strangers open the door for you, say just what you were talking about the night before. I dare anybody, but only from the heart for fun. You have to want to actually have it happen. Let them do their jobs. Awareness for mankind is on the horizon. Call it a spiritual awakening if you wish. It's a chance for all to grow. Mankind is ready for more unconditional love and compassion for all, and more compassion by all for all is needed. Mankind is ready for change from rat race mode. Happiness is obtained in the absence of ego. Ego is afraid to be vulnerable to let go and to be in the unknown. Again, there's nothing to lose and nothing to gain. Move past seeing the negative. Compassion can be taught through one's actions. How? Slowing down would do a world of wonder for most people. Doing it consistently is where the problems and opportunities lie, so stay present. Start right now. Letting go means less thinking. Do not get lost in perceived tasks, roles, ego, political parties, this, that, abroad affairs, and stuff like that. Being in the moment is to do compassion for all. For individuals, an egoless path would be great, but it's just not realistic. Allow ego to serve as a reminder when it pops up, a reminder for what you decide. How about a reminder to breathe? How about a reminder to enjoy each moment as it comes? Believe that all moments can be the same. Whether it's a moment at work or a moment looking at nature, all moments are the same and peaceful. Only thinking something can interfere with this. Likewise, there are not separate paths for man or separate worlds for individuals. One is one. Through awareness and owning the consequences of one's thoughts and actions, a person begins to see how all of life is truly interconnected in one. Faith in all can lead to a change in mankind. This is the path for all of man. This is about man bringing peace and joy to all. This is also about your personal growth in your life and finding the next stage in your soul's development, as well as the continued evolution of mankind. The greatest gift is allowing. All is growth and change. This is frightening for some. There's nothing to do here. Slow down the doing. Instead, breathe, smile, and relax. Appreciate all. Last little bit. Compassion for all is life. This is also about acceptance for all. Regard others as yourself, generously and without fixation. Believe in all. It is much simpler than people think. Again, this is because it is not about thinking, but less thinking. Open yourself up to life. Speak with us, angels. Be. And what's your reaction to that?
I think it's all true.
I did not write that. I saw balls of light as I was typing. What are you going to do? You just type faster and then you make sure you spell check afterwards. So, okay, but Elaine, you can't get away with just a little bit like that. By the way, here's the cover of the book, and there's Min and Charlotte, the blue ball of light that you just saw, but that's silhouette. There's no one way about the photographs. That's the whitish ball of light. That's Min, and Charlotte's the blue ball of light. Why don't you get a little talking point from them? Because you know how to talk to us. You've been doing this for a long time. Let them be your producers off stage. You're the actress at the top of the stage, the round stage in London, Shakespearean. They're yelling what the next chapter is to talk about. What are they telling you?
Oh, expansion of consciousness.
Thank you. And now with the drum roll, if you want to hear angels singing at home, or Elaine, if you want to hear a light Rolling Stones, the chorus before the Big Chill movie at the beginning, they played that one song. I don't know what it is by the Stones, but if you want to hear a little bit of choir singing for angels as backdrop for your talking about more consciousness here, what's it all mean? What's more consciousness mean?
Expansion of consciousness has to do something with allowing, right? Because we're already there. It's like I talk about, you can talk about these points, and it's kind of hard to express that it's more of an experience than it is anything else. But what concepts do is they limit so that we can think about things, and that's language. And expansion of consciousness means we're going to go beyond language. We're going to go beyond concepts. And then once you start diving into your heart, you start realizing who you are and who other people are.
That's incredible. And most of the time, if there's talking going on, it's just more egoic thinking. There's love, and love is love, and details are details. And I'm not knocking it. Look, I got to fill up a show. I got to talk. You've got to talk. We're all going to be talking a lot more. I'm going right back to egoic thinking at like 4 o'clock today. But I got a quote for folks. Here's a Native American quote. We're going to start to play the quote game a little bit, like a game show. I'll put a couple quotes up for you. You react any way you want. You say, I like it. I dismiss that. It was fun. But here's a Native American one. In American society, we think something is happening when there's talking. In Native American tribes, something is happening when there is silence. Might have been Carl Hammerschlag from Dancing Healers. I never got to meet him when he was alive. I was corresponding a little, and he had wrote a very nice note when he knew he was going to be passing. Just a very sweet note. But if anybody gets the chance, Carl Hammerschlag, Yale graduated doctor, Indian Bureau of Indian Affairs. He went to a reservation and he thought he knew it all from a medicine, society, and more standpoint. But a medicine man took him under his wing, showed him the broader reality of the world. He ended up getting a whole different practice. He became a psychotherapist, so kind of doubled for careers. And then everything he learned that was spiritual or healing, he taught it to everyone else. And he was tight buds or friends with Patch Adams. And I think he was out of New Mexico, I think, Albuquerque possibly. And he only passed a couple of years ago, but fantastic. Dancing Healers, Theft of Spirit, they're sitting on the shelf behind me. What I wanted to get to was let's do that. Happiness is obtained in the absence of ego. And there was a little bit more to that. And then also, you can be happy now in this very moment without any reason at all. Can you explain how there's a difference between here and here? How does this work?
Let's see. So try to do this in a fast track way. When you're in the ego, and now I'm going to go back to the realm of becoming, that's the material world. You're really in survival mode. So you're protecting yourself, you're doing things you need to do to survive. Sometimes we forget to be kind. Sometimes we become impatient. So, so the material world. But there's also the realm of being, and that's actually the more important, more real domain. And so when you step out of the ego, and that means actually that means a lot of work. That means detaching yourself from your ideas, from all that came from the material realm. Okay, so once you detach, you can start looking at the realm of being, and from there you can start seeing other people. And when you start seeing other people as equal to you, or as more important to you, as more valuable to you, then you can be happy.
Okay, a couple.
That's a short version.
No, I love it. I love it. A couple quotes for you. To relate with others compassionately is a challenge. Really communicating to the heart and being. Really communicating to the heart and being there for someone else means not shutting down on that person, which means, first of all, not shutting down on ourselves.
Absolutely.
Good? Okay. And then what we reject out there, we reject in ourselves.
Projection. Yep.
Don't hang on to your version of life too tightly.
Absolutely. You're going to change.
Right and wrong closes us down and makes our world smaller. Okay. And I know that, shoot, Angel said it. I had it earlier. There's no such thing as right or wrong. There is proper understanding. Angel said that. It doesn't mean we're about to ask angels where to rob the next bank, and you and I are going to put masks on and say, stick them up. But we'll get told to move on that question. Angels won't answer which bank to rob. But I do have one more for you. And it's coming in just a second. Accepting ourselves means lightening up the ancient burden of self-importance. Accepting ourselves means lightening up the ancient burden of self-importance. Is that an okay one?
Yeah, because self-acceptance, it's very strange that in our culture, a lot of people can't accept themselves. I see this in my classes. They want to be something other than themselves, right? And they really don't know who they are in the first place. But even then, they still want to be something else. So that's why I think there's this tendency to make yourself more important to other people, so that other people will approve you, because you're not approving yourself. Right? So the self-acceptance, once you accept yourself, you don't need other people's approval. You don't need validation from other people. So you don't really see yourself as more important than anybody else.
If you went to the mirror and you said, maybe you have to say it 1,000 times. If you said, I love you to you, to the mirror, you go up to the mirror, you say, I love you. I love you, Elaine. If you're Elaine, if it's me, hey, Mike, I love you. How many times do you have to say, I love you, or I am love, or whatever, before you crack, you cry, you release all your stress, keep saying, I love you until you actually are like full on, oh my God, laughing hysterically, I love you. It would be like writing your life story. A lot of us would write 28 pages if told, hey, sit down and write your life story. I need 2 more notebooks. My hand's cramped. Can you write it for me? And I need to type now. And, you know, 3 days later, you're like, there's my memoir. And then, you know, if you're told every week, every month, every day to rewrite it, a little shorter. How fast could you get to I am loved? I mean, there are a couple people who would like I am love and put your signature down and be like, done, drop the mic. I'm full self-love. I love, I am. Good luck with that. Welcome to being human. Most of us, it would take a long time of chipping away at what we think we know, our narrative, our dialogue, the way we think things happen to us, not for us, and the rest. Talk to us a little bit about that. Then we play with a couple angels. Then we're going to have you wrap it up for us with just a little bit of wisdom from Elaine. What's this whole life story thing that we're constantly going through, and how can we clean up our energy act? Can we be more love, flow more love? Again, what's
Yes. That's the easy answer. Yes, you can always be more love. It doesn't matter what level of enlightenment you've attained. There are infinite levels of enlightenment, right? And
brilliant?
so every time love changes, the energies change. It becomes more refined and more refined. And it's just an ongoing process, whether you're a sentient human being or a galactic being, you're constantly finding better ways or different ways to love.
I have a French expression. I didn't say it, but it's only going to come through a little bit. Each day, love puts on a new face. It's a little blurry,
Yes.
but we'll do a Irish. We'll do an Irish. We'll do 2 Irish expressions. Don't pick up a rock and drop it on your own feet. And you learn a fence needs mending after the sheep have run away. That tends to be our learning process.
Yes.
Now, these
Very
are all, most of those are all quotes that when I bought my first home in Austin, Texas, it's coming out of New York, complete like blinders on. I talked to everybody. I'm enthusiastic. Everybody in New York thought I was from California, the old style Beach Boys, California. I talked to security guards, taxi cab drivers, you name it, elevator people. And, you know, I was always enthusiastic. But I got to the house, it's empty. And I had collected all these mantras, I call them, or just sayings in a like equivalent of a diary in 1992-3. And I held on to it forever. But I created a sheet. I put it behind a door so nobody would be like looking at it coming straight into the house. I put it behind a door by the laundry room. And that was like my house mantras. And then I had to go through a very painful process of learning that, hey, I got to fill this house. I got to put up stuff on the walls, get colors, plants, not going to kill the plants. Got to start cooking, living in a way that New York City, a big city, or just certain types of reality that we all go through, the rat race, did not permit. And so I had to expand. And I'm just going to remind folks that wherever you think you're at, it's always bigger, shinier, more fun, more challenging, more exciting, and you're more capable than you would ever believe. Elaine, you are fantabulous at this. You're holding back just a little bit. Coach us on how much fantabulousness this ishness is within all of us right now. And we just have to let go a little like in a Disney movie to enjoy it more.
Yeah, well, when you're looking at other human beings, rather than thinking them as other human beings, see them as souls. And then you will see something completely different because you're seeing from the realm of being. And so now you're looking at an eternal being, no limits, no limits to love, just unimaginable compassion, and so beautiful. And everybody needs to feel like they're beautiful.
Okay, crystals are coming next, and 2 angels, and then you're going to give us a closing statement like it's a court trial. But I want to mention Dr. Marjorie Woolacott. She's a neuroscientist. She just taped this week. I don't remember when the show's going to air, to be honest, but people need to check out that show because she mentioned, and she loves studying near-death experiences, and she was super awesome and twinkly in the eyes during her taping. But she mentioned a near-death case study where a nurse was at a supermarket checking out at the counter, and in a later death, she had a miniature life review before it wasn't her time to go. She came back. And angels went through not only like the hard moments of life, but the positive moments. And you would never believe how the smallest moment in the world could have rippled more love. You had no idea. And that was the example for this nurse. She had been in line at the supermarket, and there's a woman ahead of her actually checking out with the cashier. The woman is a complete financial panic and a panic in life, and she is $1 short, doesn't have the dollar, ready to put an item back on the shelf. And without thinking, this woman who went through the near-death experience gave $1 and didn't think twice about it. And that woman went on to start a food bank that rippled so much and touched so many other people. The woman who went through the near-death experience was shown by Angel how the smallest gesture, the smallest act can have the greatest consequences. You might not know, but you could trust a little more that the littlest act, the littlest moment, just looking at nature, waving hi to a stranger, petting a dog, slowing down, breathing is bigger than you'd ever realize. And the last thing is she has shown her workplace how there was one woman, one nurse. And again, I'm not trying to take away from Dr. Marjorie Woolacott's show. So you need to go watch that, subscribe, check out her offerings. She's incredible. She mentioned how on the flip side, she was shown how the nursing, the staffing situation on this one floor, there was one nurse that was kind of standoffish, that wasn't, so she put up more barriers. She's usually pretty outgoing and interacting, but they were like, not quite the Christmas Carol level, but it was shown how that nurse had gone through childhood trauma, and it was her opportunity with a little bit of love from her colleagues to come out in this lifetime to get over that obstacle and to trust more, allow more, and love more. And she didn't get that, and it happens. And everyone gets a second chance later, whether it's another lifetime and so on. But the moral of the story is you would never believe it. If you got behind the curtain and got to see broader pictures of love, you'd never believe it, because it's not about thinking, grasping, or believing in that sense from up here. It's about trusting more. Can you add something to that, Elaine? Because I know you're living and breathing it. And you're getting, by the way, only the hardest questions I've ever dished out to anybody on this show.
Oh, not fair.
130 episodes taped so far towards our 200. We're getting 70 more done by the end of the summer. And yes, I still think you can handle it with grace, ease, fun, and joy. But what's the moral of the story? And I know that sounds too serious. So just what's the gentle reminder for us all?
Infinity times infinity times infinity.
Okay, that you've already said. So I still have to press you here. I'm going to have Joy come in and whisper something to you. You would have said this. And what'd you get?
Oh, I don't know if this applies.
Oh, say it anyhow.
It's relevant. Okay, so, and this has to do with infinity times infinity times infinity, because we're talking about the realm of being. And so being open is kind of the way to God's heart, in the sense that one of the ways that you can sort of access the realm of being is to be open to your own memories. It's already in you, right? And so if you open to your own memories, there's no past, present, or future. So what you can do is remember your future.
Opening openness. I love it. And a big wow. And I got another one for you. Chogyam Trungpa. The way to experience nowness is to realize that this very moment, this very point in life, is always the occasion. Do you like that one?
Yes, I like that a lot.
And here's a couple more for you. Remain in love, positivity, and acceptance for all. 3 Native American chiefs, Dolnay, Redshirt, and Geronimo. We'll get to those guys on your next installment when you come back on the show. Here's one more from Chogyam Trungpa. Taking one breath is like taking one step. Both bring peace and harmony. And two final quotes, and then you're going to wrap it up for us. Joy said, that angel we just had up, enjoy every moment so your laughter is healing and hope to others. And a final one from Dale. Dale threw a real wrench into everything here. I thought I knew something in 13 years. He said, I've got an Andromeda background. I just think it's his origin story. Remember, unconditional love is unconditional love. The universe is far bigger than we realize. And anybody who at any point decides they've had enough trying to do it this way through the brain can allow the universe to come in and provide a lot more than you'd ever allow for through this, through materialist science, through this, through that, even the spirituality landscape. It's really not about man-made organizations or more egoic thinking or rules, concepts, lingo, traditions, rituals, whatever. And I'm not knocking any of those. Keep doing it. If you're a New England Patriots fan, do it. Not everybody wants to get down on the field and meet Brady if he's retired on the sidelines, or the players. Some of us just want to sit at home and click the clicker and watch that way. Some of us want to stay in the box, but I'm saying you can get more active, get on the field. You might even like the New York Jets. Whoops, I blew my NFL analogy there. Okay, a final big quote, because I think it's really cute, fun, and awesome. And this is a great mindfulness meditation or just love practice, but ditch everything I just said. Sometimes the person next to you or a stranger just needs validation via love and compassion. A smile changes any moment, so too does laughter or a few kind words. Be compassionate to all. Do it. What say you?
Oh, absolutely. The whole point, isn't it? So, yeah, it's something that's not often taught, and not even in churches sometimes. Um, the message from Jesus was love. It's all in the heart. You don't need anything else except what's in your heart and what's in yourself. And so I think that's a reminder that trust yourself. It's already within you. I mean, all the wise sages and thinkers have always said it's already in you. You already know. So trust yourself.
Oh, okay. Here's a quote from 2014 from Jesus, and I'll do the best I can. Compassion is here for all. A person need only be open to receive. A new consciousness emerges. Details are not so important. Love is love. Something like that.
Exactly like that.
Okay. I lied. One more figure. We'll do Jesus, but I'm going to borrow from the Latvian, Estonian. She's probably 30 now with 2 PhDs, but she was an artist when she was 14. She painted a really famous drawing. I can never remember her name, but she was featured in Heaven is for Real, the Burpo story, where the little boy had kind of an out-of-body near-death experience when getting surgery, but they featured this drawing in it. And here's Jesus, a pretty famous.
Oh, I've seen that. Yes.
Yeah. If you don't mind hearing a final bit from him to relay to us, what are you getting? He should come in. He's really funny. He's very pleasant. What'd you get?
He was pushing me around, just joking, just joshing with me. So yeah, so there are two aspects here. And again, this is the realm of being and the realm of becoming. So from the realm of becoming, I see this the human side, right? And so he's being very normal and relatable. But then on the being side, I was seeing Jesus with his arms stretched out and light just transmitting to everybody on this planet. So it's a huge dichotomy, but it's because there are those two realms.
So I've got for you a crystal quartz. It's Tibetan quartz crystal with the black stuff in it is tourmaline. If you want to put your hand up and feel what you can feel, let me get out of the way and see some shininess. First of all, I like shiny things, so that's the way I like to say it. And everything has consciousness. So here are a few words from this, and how do you describe it? Breathe,
Wow.
breathe, breathe, breathe at home. If you need help, rub your hands together, do something, shout, play some music, dance first, drink a big bottle of water, and then come back and start over. What are you getting?
Oh, it's taking me into the cosmos.
I didn't do it.
Um, hmm.
What's a reminder of the
Lots of,
crystal? Yeah.
yeah, lots of ETs have visited Tibet
Ooh.
and have helped their culture.
Mm.
It was just, yeah, it took me way out there. I'm sorry about that.
No, brilliant. And are you kidding? It's good for ratings. I mean, right now, reminding people, put a comment down. Swear this is the shyest audience I've ever had. We've had 460 to 480,000 visitors since the inception of this whole thing to back at the beginning of 2023. And people are so shy. Once in a while, we get, I smelled lavender or I smelled the sage. And I get it. And I totally get, I was not one to hit the like thumb symbol. Now I actually do it. I'm not shy. Here's apophyllite or apophyllite. I don't know how to say it. It's shinier than diamonds and it's prettier. So here it is.
Oh my.
And if you don't mind asking angels to do like you can smell a cup of coffee, but you can have that smell be the sense of 5 cups of coffee. That's angels. That's the only way I know how to say. Ask them to help you out and magnify what you're getting. And what are you getting with the apophyllite?
Oh, just the method that people can use to hop into the being of the crystal, and they can receive the messages from the crystal itself.
Ooh. Okay. And then finally, citrine. This one,
Oh,
and what are you getting here?
very different. Uh, um, I don't know why, but I'm getting oceans. Getting oceans and whales and dolphin. I'm hearing dolphins clicking whale songs. Um, Another planet. Again, that's very cosmic.
Okay, I am going to put 2 more photos up. Geronimo and an angel named Isabel, then I promise we're wrapping it up. But you're going to have to be sage, sweet, and I need another S, and super to close us out. So get ready. Ask an angel to hop in and a good closing. Here's Geronimo, older Geronimo, Unconditional Love Spirit Guide on everyone's team. Action, 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 dry wit, but more slang, not proper yes, no, formal. More like, duh, you already know the answer, or just do it. He's like lightning bolt. He's also very cool. What are you hearing from Geronimo for us all as a reminder?
Depth. Remember how deep you are.
Nice. Okay, now the next one, if everyone at home can put a car seatbelt on or roller coaster or Formula One, it's Isabel. If you're super intuitive, you need the Formula One belt because, yes, she's inner tranquility or calm. And yes, that means super chill. Or, yes, like a pond that's glass or an ocean that's like a mirror, but only that once a month, 5 a.m. when there's no wind, no waves, and you're like, whoa, what's going on? It looks completely glassy. But here's the deal. She does feng shui. If you're a house, you can ask to get smoothed out on any part of your life from her. This is a black and white photo from the 50s or 60s. Let the photo shift so the eyes come more alive. She starts smiling for you. We know photos can't move, but wrong. No limits. Elaine reminded us the entire show that it's not the way we think. It's beyond grasping or thinking. So photos can move. Here's Isabel, ISABEL, an angel who's intercom, but she's also like able to, if you're already a Google fiber optics cable, but AT&T is 10 meters away, she'll splice them for you. She'll grow your foundation for you. She'll smooth the rough edges. So if you don't mind breathing more at home through your mouth or through the nose, let the shoulders go up and down, let her do her job. Elaine, are you feeling this one?
I'm just, excuse me.
I didn't do it.
I'm seeing like a high priestess on her throne.
Aw. And if you want to get whooshed, we'll call it undulated ripples of light and love up and down your back, and feel your crown chakra go berserk fun, berserk, like disco 1970s. Allow, allow, allow. What more is there? And what's the final bit of messaging for us all? She's going to help you with the close.
Oh, it's a message about loneliness because that seems to be prevalent right now. And so, particularly for um, spiritual people, the kind of people that watch your show, if you can get into your spiritual communities, find your soul group, that will help to make connections that are much deeper than you'll find in the realm of becoming. And that's really important because what these soul groups do when they get together, there's an energetic component, and they're all in one sense, we're like pieces of a puzzle that fit together neatly. But in another sense, in another dimension, there's also these patterns that are being weaved and created when the soul groups get together. And so, again, very dynamic, and it helps the individual, particularly in these times, to ride the waves of all the things that are happening in the realm of becoming. So use that soul group as your support. They're there for a reason.
Elaine Yoshikawa, professor type, Arizona State University, teaching on a lot of different fronts, from music to philosophy of happiness to virtue ethics, moral psychology, religious studies, Christian and Buddhist ethics, to authenticity, spirituality, self-transformation, and again, much, much more. I have to thank you for coming on the show. You're already coming back in 2025. I cannot wait. I'm a huge fan of yours. Thank you for being on the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.